So I just threw up on a brand new Porsche 911 GTS in front of my instructor at the Porsche Experience Center in Atlanta. Here are my excuses. Excuse number one, I stayed up till 1 a.m. the night before drinking White Claws in my hotel room with the print, shoot, repeat crew. Excuse number two, not even 20 minutes before I started driving, I had a triple entree Kung Pao chicken with half lo mein, half greens at Panda Express. Excuse number three, my instructor during the 90-minute class I took, Chris, was way too good at teaching me how to push this car way too fast on a track.
Take off and through, controlling your power like you've been doing already beautifully. Out wide, back to that power, nice turn. Decent brake, roll in, off the brake, back to me, smooth exit with power, nice.
Gotta say, also super nice dude too. Whenever I got out of the bathroom after cleaning myself up, there was a nice cold water and a stick of Trident peppermint gum for me. And I just threw up on this dude's $200,000 vehicle. Women have done less for me after I've stayed the night at their apartments. Wait, let's talk about the Porsche Experience Center. It's a place where you can drive Porsches, including 911s. The facility was originally in Reno, but Germans being Germans, gotta love their efficiency. They realized that when they flew in from Germany, they were always connecting through Atlanta. Then they would have another cross-country flight to Reno, which is a shithole. Accordingly, they said, fuck it, let's just move the whole operation to Atlanta. They bought a building from Ford. The PEC was set up only a couple of minutes from Hartsfield Jackson. By the way, the virgins watching this video may recognize the exterior, some of the interiors from the Avengers films, as the Porsche Experience Center, ATL, was used as Avengers headquarters, especially in Civil War.
It's pretty impressive, huh? They just finished remodeling the whole thing.
The facility by itself worth a visit even if you don't drive anything. There's a nice museum there. It's got about a half dozen privately owned excellent examples of different Porsches that revolve in and out. There's a really neat, rare 924 race car that was there when I looked, along with some gorgeous 911s. There's a small memorabilia display in the back as well. The museum isn't going to knock your socks off by itself, but if you're a true Porsche fan, still worth a visit. Totally free. However, I should mention that you have to go through security to get in the building, and I'm not sure if, hey, I'm going to go to the museum and fart around a little bit would be sufficient. The website does say reservations required, so I'd call first. Why was I there? Well, I thought it was to film something, but I sent 2 emails to the media contact provided on Porsche's website specifically for filming at the Atlanta facility, but I never even received an acknowledgement. Thanks, dickheads at PEC Media. But that was kind of just to make this whole thing a write-off anyways. I really just wanted to learn how to drive my 911 better. Of course, I have a 993 from 1995, which is both similar to and totally different than your modern Porsche 911. If you watch my firearm channel, TFB TV, I'm a proponent of training. Why own a Glock if you don't know how to shoot it? I have a Carrera, but other than my motorcycle endorsement course and some cranky old lady making me drive her around the DMV parking lot to get my driver's license, I've had no formal instruction in driving. By the way, this is the Porsche Experience Center, not the Porsche driving school, not the Porsche Instruction Center. So getting into it, I knew that this was going to be a bunch of people taking turns launching 911s on the drag strip until they got tired of it, then hanging it up, and there was plenty of that. Like that. Indeed, while I was waiting in line to sign in, I shit you not, live action Milhouse Van Houten cuts me off, walks up to the appointment counter and asks the lady at the desk, "You guys aren't going to tell me how fast I'm allowed to drive, are you?" This was doubly hilarious because he looked like he couldn't have been 2 summers off his last atomic wedgie. Turns out my supposition was correct. Talking to the staff there, many people come to the Porsche Experience Center just to get behind the wheel of the 911 to say they've done it, launch it a couple times, see how fast it'll go from a dead stop, like an expensive roller coaster ride. Me, you can gather from my tone of superiority, was there to pay homage to one of the greatest sports cars of all time. I was there to listen, I was there to learn, I was there to have fun, and I didn't know it yet, but I was also there to spew Kung Pao all over a brand new 911. Guess I shouldn't be so hard on Milhouse, huh? There are a ton of experiences to choose from, like splitting your time with several different cars. I signed up for the plain Jane 911 GTS 90-minute experience. I wanted the plainest 911 that I could get for 90 minutes to learn how to be a better driver from an expert. I don't own an RS3. I'm not Dale Earnhardt, RIP big dog. So riced out Fast and the Furious bullshit doesn't really excite me. The last time I used nitrous was in college, but I wasn't in a car. And next thing I know, I wake up in a Leon County jail cell wearing nothing but lipstick, eyeshadow, and my underwear on backwards. Haven't looked at Cool Whip the same since. Point being, I want to learn on the closest thing to what it is I own. And I shelled out $800 for this. I forgot about it for a second after I slid into a beautiful gentian blue GTS, which I threw up on later. My instructor, Chris, gives me a little preview before we get in the car of what we can do. But he emphasizes we can do whatever I want to do. We aren't sticking to a particular curriculum. He seemed a little surprised when I told him I wanted to learn. I wanted some criticism. I wanted some lessons. Chris, an experienced professional driver, mechanic, and a car guy, said he was used to tourists who are here for Porsche Space Mountain. He was more than glad to oblige my request. There are 2 tracks, the South Track, 1.6 miles long with different track modules. We'll talk about it in a second. And the West Track, a 1.3 mile handling track featuring elements inspired by famous driving roads and tracks around the world. Chris took me for a few practice laps around the West Track to get the hang of everything, see how the car felt. He then suggested we take a break, try some of the training modules while I let my first track experience sink in. We go to the South Track with all its little automotive trials and tribulations. It's a little bit like that temple from Raiders of the Lost Ark, but for driving. Only the penitent Porsche man will pass. First, there's this slick road. It had a thin sheet of water running over it. As you accelerate, boom, all of a sudden you get hit. There's a panel under the car that pushes you in a random direction, causing you to lose control. The object of this exercise, regain control as quickly as possible, get the car off the track in a straight line. I did that 2 times in a row without an issue at all. Felt like kind of a badass until Chris pointed out that basically the car was doing everything for me with traction control. I wasn't really doing anything all that helpful. So he turns off traction control and...
Way sign as we're going through. Quick hands, quick hands. Oh, wait. We're good, no worries.
720, spin the out. But after that, Chris walked me through what to do under that situation. I had 2 solid runs without the traction control.
Maintain your speed. See the red car cruising through. Quick hands, quick hands. There you go. See how quick that was, how little you had to turn? Oh, no help with the power, right?
We then went to this hill that had the same slick road surface. We practiced driving up and down the hill. It's meant to simulate what it would be like driving up or down a frozen road. This was actually totally unrealistic for me because I'm from Florida, and if my wife was in labor, I ain't driving on no silly-ass frozen road. Call the ambulance or the handmaid. I don't give a shit, because if I can see my breath, I'm on the couch watching Lord of the Rings for the 13th time. Trying to brake and not lose control on the surface, extremely difficult, but Chris literally held my hand. Well, not literally, but he walked me through how to handle braking and maneuvering on slick roads. Kind of neat to know, although, as I said, I ain't ever using it. Once I got to try all these neat experiences, it was time to get back on the West Track. Chris gave me excellent direction. The laps got quicker and quicker, faster, faster. The car got hotter and hotter. My Mango White Claw hangover got mangoer and mangoer on the very last lap of the day. I got that feeling, like where you got to burp really bad and your saliva gets all watery. And I was like, oh God, hold it in, hold it in, hold it in, hold it in. Yeah, and I threw up in my hands on the last turn of this track. Couldn't wait another 15 seconds. Had to pull over. It was embarrassing. Chris literally is saying code red on his little radio. They stopped everyone on the track. He makes sure I'm okay. We drive back to the staging area. I immediately went to the airport considering changing my name.
Turn in, you got it. Stay with it, stay with it. When you get straight, then you can pass. Here we go.
Now, I was told it was really dumb to eat a succulent Chinese meal mere minutes before taking a car on the track, but it was my first time. I wasn't aware. I'll be back, though, to Panda Express and maybe the Porsche Experience Center. What I originally thought was going to be pay $800 to take a bunch of Instagram photos and quarter-mile drag a 911 3 or 4 times ended up actually being an incredible learning experience, but it is what you make it because Chris was very flexible in terms of what I got to do on the track. If I had one complaint, the West Track, super fun, Great to run the track, but very short. It's 10 times smaller than the 13-mile Nürburgring that some of the turns were modeled after. Laps were only about 45 seconds each, so it gets very repetitive and maybe a little nauseating. That all said, I went in wanting to become a better driver, and there is no doubt in my mind that in 90 minutes, I learned more than I have in my past 25 years of driving. $800 for 90 minutes, a little stout. But between getting to drive one of the most amazing cars in the world, like it was, well, a rental, and getting great instruction from an experienced driving coach, I would sincerely consider doing it again. After all, I did have so much fun I threw up.